Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 dark secrets about Britain.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we'll be looking at moments that our history lessons ignored, that don't paint Britain in the best light. In fact, in these cases, we were often the baddies. Are there any other dark British secrets? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. The burning of Washington. During the War of 1812 between the US and the UK, the Brits decided to go a little OTT. After winning a battle in 1814, the British troops flooded into Washington, D.C. and set fire to a load of beloved buildings, which included the US Capitol Building, the Department of War Building, and the structure that held Congress, the US Library of Congress, and the Supreme Court. Finally, they thought, what better to strike fear into the US than setting the literal White House ablaze? A couple of days after ransacking Washington, the fire was eventually quelled when a massive storm descended with torrential rain, saving numerous buildings. Pretty lucky. Number 9. Testing sarin. After World War II, the UK decided they wanted to test our nerve agents, but they needed human volunteers, and not many were going to sign up for that. So they told people it was a test to cure the common cold. Soon, many members of the military signed up at the Porton Down facility. One volunteer was 20-year-old Richard Madison. On his arm, he received a few drops of sarin, and not long after, he perished. An inquest in 1953 said it was a misadventure. Officials then threatened Madison's father with the Official Secrets Act if he told anyone. A new inquest happened in 2004 that found Madison's slaying was unlawful. It's a shame it took so long to get the correct answer. Number 8. The Irish Potato Famine and Charles Trevelyan. If you were going to learn about any of these grim events at school, typically it would be this one that would be mentioned. But what they don't say is, even though they didn't cause it, how much the UK played in the destruction of over 1 million lives and causing 2 million to leave Ireland. This was all achieved by appointing Charles Trevelyan, a man who hated Ireland, to administer relief to the country in 1845. He believed God was teaching the Irish a lesson with the famine. Trevelyan did everything he could to delay the release of goods and money to those that needed it. To make it worse, Trevelyan was knighted for his services. Number 7. The Pet Massacre. With a title like that, yikes! In 1939, the government put together a team to provide information for people on what to do with their pets if/when the Second World War broke out. The biggest issue was rationing. Either pet owners would split theirs with the animals or let the pets starve. So the government released a pamphlet with advice saying that owners should move their pets to the countryside. If that's not doable, then it's kinda to have them destroyed, with an advert for a bolt pistol also included in the literature. When the war kicked off, people panicked and went to the vets to have their animals put down. Estimates claim that 750,000 pets were slain during the event. Number 6. The Amritsar Massacre. Also known as the Jallianwala Bagh Massacre in 1919, a group of people defied the British and protested in the Jallianwala Bagh Garden in Punjab, India. They were dismayed by British colonialism in India. In response, Brigadier Reginald Dyer ordered his soldiers to block in the protesters. He then told his soldiers to fire upon them until they ran out of ammunition. Estimates put the number of those slain as high as 1,500. Dyer was portrayed as a hero, and £26,000 was raised as a thank you. the lack of accountability over the horrific event angered the Indian population even more so. As such, it's seen as a major catalyst for the eventual end of British rule in the country. Number 5. Second Boer War concentration camps. Before World War II, the Brits helped to popularise concentration camps. During the Second Boer War in 1899, the British Army rounded up a sixth of the Boer population in South Africa. Many of them were women and children. They targeted anyone that helped the guerrilla fighters. The captives were placed in these camps with horrid conditions, with only tents for protection from the elements, lack of food, and next to no hygiene measures. This caused disease and malnutrition to run rampant. Altogether, around 107,000 Boer people were sent to the camp, with 27,927 of them perishing. The number of black Africans that were slain in the camps is unknown. Number 4. Famines in India. If one atrocity in India isn't enough, the UK has also stood by as multiple famines ravaged India. While the Brits didn't cause the famines, much like they did in Ireland, they did very little to help struggling citizens. There are estimates that between 12 to 29 million Indians perished due to the various famines. In 1943 alone, with the globe gripped by World War II, then Prime Minister Winston Churchill diverted much-needed supplies from Bengal to British soldiers. The fatalities for this act was up to 4 million Bengal people. Churchill showed no remorse by stating at the time his hatred of India and blaming the famine on the people. Number 3. Partition of India. In 1947, with the end of British rule in India, new country lines needed to be made to create Pakistan and India. So Cyril Radcliffe was given the role of partitioning the country. A chap who had never been further east than Paris. Good start there. Radcliffe was given just 5 weeks to divide the subcontinent into 2 countries. After making his decision, he took all his papers and burnt them, leaving us with no reason for why he chose the line where he did. In the end, millions of Muslims were now in India, while Sheikhs and Hindus were in Pakistan. An estimated 40 million people were left to flee across the fresh borders. This caused a huge amount of injuries and fatalities. Number 2. The Mau Mau Uprising. From 1952 to 1960, the uprising took place in Kenya. There, the Kenya Land and Freedom Army rebelled against British rule. With the atrocities from World War II being public knowledge, you might think the UK would avoid using concentration camps. But no. Thousands of people were imprisoned in grim conditions, where torture was regularly inflicted. Some estimates have stated that as many as 100,000 people may have perished in the camps. In 2013, the UK government reached a compensation deal with the victims. The 5,228 people that were still alive at the time were awarded £19.9 million. That works out to about £3,800 each. A memorial paid for by the UK was also constructed in Nairobi. Number 1. The slave trade. The first British ship to transport slaves happened in 1562. Fast forward to 1833, the Slavery Abolition Act was passed. Finally, people were free. However, the now former slave owners had a tantrum and demanded compensation for the enforced changes. So instead of focusing on helping the released captives, the UK enacted the Slave Compensation Act in 1837. And it is as gross as it sounds. They used 40% of its national budget and provided that cash as compensation to over 40,000 awards. At the time, that was around £20 million altogether. Today, that's nearly worth £2.4 billion. The government had to borrow this money, and that wasn't paid off until 182 years later, in 2015. Those freed from slavery, on the other hand, got nothing.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.